Today on Around Town. A special announcement was made at the North Coast Harbor. Find out what festival is returning after a 6-year hiatus. Then we'll get cooking in the kitchen with the Cleveland Police Department for a very spicy competition. Around Town will be right back, only here on TV 20. We are Cleveland.
Be sure to tune in to Horror Hotel right here on TV 20.
Welcome back to Around Town.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Science Center this morning for, hopefully, everybody will agree, will be a great announcement for Cleveland. I'm Joe Marinucci. I'm President and CEO of Downtown Cleveland Alliance. As many of you know, during the last few years, we've been fortunate to host some of those sensational events here in Cleveland, from the World Series and the NBA championships to the RNC, and earlier this year to the NCAA Division I wrestling tournament. And it's obviously, we're here to make another announcement that I think will animate not only downtown, but the Lake Erie shoreline for us. Before I get started, I did want to thank the Science Center, Kirsten Ellenbogen, excuse me for mispronouncing your last name, but Kirsten is gracious enough to actually open up her doors and give us the backdrop. We felt it would be a little easier rather than being on the lakefront and a 40-degree temperature to be here at the Science Museum. I know you're closed today, so thank you for your gracious hospitality in allowing us to be with you today. The first person I'd like to introduce is the mayor of the city of Cleveland. Mayor Jackson is an inspiration to all of us who work in downtown Cleveland and in the city of Cleveland, and his partnership in allowing us to bring tall ships back to Cleveland is essential. So with that, I'd like to introduce the mayor of the city of Cleveland, Frank Jackson.
Good morning. Good morning. And how are you this morning? Good, good. You know, I want to welcome everyone to this event and really welcome the tall ships back to Cleveland. Tall ships coming into Cleveland has always been a great event. And as I was talking earlier, the tall ships are not new to the city of Cleveland or to this region for historical reasons. And I guess they weren't considered tall ships then, they were just sail vessels. And they provided movement of commerce, and they allowed for the development of cities like the city of Cleveland. So it is a very important look at not only the tall ships today and reminiscing, but it's really about a historical perspective of what made Cleveland and other Great Lakes cities what they are today. And that would not have happened without these vessels. And I want to thank the Downtown Alliance, Destination Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, and of course, City of Cleveland as we work together to bring you back to Cleveland. And again, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Jackson. Like the mayor indicated, obviously it's great to have the festival return. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize one of the strategic partners who's going to be joining us in bringing the festival back, and that's the Rotary Club of Cleveland, who act as the producers in 2010 and 2013, and they really did a great job bringing the festival or organizing and executing the festival during those years. So Bev and Sharon, we really appreciate you being here, and we look forward to working with you. One of the things, obviously, that we're going to announce today is the fact that 10 tall ships will be joining us for this year's festival. And participants will be able to board these ships. They'll be able to participate in sailaways, which allows people to actually go on the ships and go out into Lake Erie. And obviously, as a festival, we'll enjoy great food, great music. We'll enjoy educational exhibits as part of the approach that we're taking. And it's really an opportunity really to bring people to the lakefront, to have them enjoy themselves, hopefully educate them in terms of, as the mayor said, the history of the maritime industry here in Cleveland, and more importantly, create a tradition where we can bring them back every 3 years. Our international partner is Tall Ships America, and with us today is Michael Raworth, chairman of the Tall Ships America board, to talk a little bit about their perspective and the partnership that they are bringing to us here in Cleveland. So, Mike.
Thanks, Joe. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Cleveland. Thanks for your kind words, Mr. Mayor. For those of you who are not familiar with us, Tall Ships America is a membership organization, a nonprofit. Our members are the owners and operators of the 150-plus large sailing vessels that populate the coasts of the United States, the Pacific Coast, the Great Lakes, the Gulf Coast, the Atlantic Coast. And we have been running tall ships events, that is, gatherings of vessels that race from port to port and have port events in between the races for more than a generation. But since 2001, we've been doing these series every year on a rotating basis throughout the coasts. Early this year, for example, we were in the Gulf of Mexico. Last year, we were on the Atlantic coast. 2019 is the Great Lakes turn. And each year, our events involve domestic and international foreign vessels. Our first annual series, as a matter of fact, in 2001 of this rotating series was in the Great Lakes. Cleveland was a major port in that series, and the Great Lakes have been the most welcoming to our fleets and our activities. Cleveland, as I said, has been a pillar of these events, and in Tall Ships 2006, Tall Ships Challenge 2006, I was pleased to be able to sail into Cleveland aboard the three-masted bark Picton Castle along with my son. Now, the driver for the Tall Ships Challenge and for the existence of these vessels is providing a profound experience for the trainees on board. And for many, that experience is genuinely life-changing. On board, they learn not only rewarding maritime skills, but they also pick up the kind of traits that will make them ready to take on responsible jobs ashore once they finish with their tall ships experience. They learn a deep respect for the forces of nature, and they get a hand at managing a big, complicated vessel through the water, all under sail. And this experience is really the pinnacle of the qualities of seamanship, where teamwork is not only desirable, it's fundamental, it's essential. It's a truly authentic experience, and it's very much the opposite of the current wave of digital screen addiction, with which I'm sure many of you will be familiar. We in the Downtown Cleveland Alliance look forward to working with the people from YESS here in Cleveland to make their educational programs available as they've done in the past to the trainees who sail aboard the Tall Ships fleet. We also look forward to working with the Downtown Cleveland Alliance to develop programs to give the visiting trainees a first-class experience while they're in Cleveland. So this summer, this forthcoming summer, the Tall Ships will range and race throughout the Great Lakes, which is, of course, the largest body of surface freshwater, and make stops at 10 stops at 11 ports, including Toronto for Canada Day, the 1st of July, Buffalo, New York for the 4th of July, then Cleveland here, the 11th through the 14th of July, Bay City, Michigan, the 18th and 21st of July, Green Bay, Wisconsin, a little bit later in July, Kenosha, Wisconsin, beginning August, Midland, Ontario, and Sarnia, Ontario, 2 ports on one weekend, August 9th through 11th, then Kingsville, Ontario, back to Erie, Pennsylvania, the 22nd through the 26th of August, and finishing in the Thousand Islands in Brockville, Ontario. So as I said, Cleveland was one of the very first ports in our annual Tall Ships Challenge series back in 2001, and they hosted 13 ships then. They've been a host port in 2003, 2006, 2010, and 2013. So bottom line is we could not be more excited to bring the tall ships back once again to the great city of Cleveland. Thanks, Joe.
As Mike indicated, one of the keys obviously is the educational programming and some of the students that are going to be on some of these ships. I can share with you, we've already received a couple phone calls from ships captains who want to make sure that we can get their students over to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to experience some of Cleveland from an educational perspective. As I mentioned a few moments ago, we will have 10 ships in terms of our portfolio, and that'll include 7 boarding ships, which a boarding ship is a ship that essentially is moored during the entire festival, and obviously people can access it as part of the festival, and 3 sail-away ships, which again, by design, not only will allow people to board them, but for an additional fee, you can go out and spend a couple hours on Lake Erie as part of that strategy. The 6 American flagships will be joining us: the U.S. brig Niagara, Pride of Baltimore II, the Dennis Sullivan, Inland Seas, Appledorn 4, and Appledore 5. In addition, we'll have 3 sailaways: Appledorn 3, Appledorn 5, and Inland Sea. And we'll have 3 Canadian ships that will be joining us as well: Blue Nose 2, Empire Sandy, Fair Jean, and we also will have an international vessel from the Cook Islands. Picton Castle will be joining us. In our understanding, that's going to be wildly popular in terms of people joining us for this event. Next person I'd like to introduce is someone that, to be honest, when we first started this dialogue about bringing tall ships to Cleveland, I think the first phone call I made was to David Gilbert to see if Destination Cleveland would work with us, become part of a strategic team that would allow us to bring it back, and his answer was yes. So I'm very pleased that we'll be working closely with Destination Cleveland, and I'd like to ask David to come forward for a few remarks. David?
Thanks, Joe, very much. We're really excited, Mike, to have tall ships back. Have been to the event several of the times that you mentioned, and it's a tremendous event in general, tremendous event for Cleveland. I think what's really exciting is, in addition, we have such an incredible summer lined up for 2019. This is one of several events that will really highlight our waterfront. Cleveland will also, in addition to tall ships, be hosting again U.S. Triathlon Championship that'll bring about 15,000 people to Cleveland. Many events surrounding the 50th anniversary and commemoration of the Cuyahoga River catching on fire, and how far, quite frankly, our water quality has come since then. And certainly other major events, Major League Baseball All-Star Game being a huge capstone for our community. CONCACAF Gold Cup right next door. We'll have 40,000 people at First Energy Stadium, among many others. So it's going to be a really exciting summer. In 2013, tall ships had about 60,000 people in attendance, and we expect that or more to be here. And these events, they really do 2 very important things. One, they bring a lot of money to our community. All the people that come in from out of town, they come here and they spend a lot of money. But also importantly, as we continue to try and elevate the perception, the image of Cleveland, to get more people to invest here, to live here, to keep visiting here, these opportunities for people to come in from out of town and see for themselves what Cleveland really is, we know from our research, has a huge effect. So very excited, and thanks to a lot of the partners here, and in particular to Joe and Downtown Cleveland Alliance for really taking this on and really making sure that tall ships is going to happen and be successful in Cleveland. So thanks very much.
As David said, I guess we're going to have the All-Star Game here on Tuesday the 9th, and followed very closely then with the Parade of Sail on the 11th. So again, a very, very vibrant week in downtown Cleveland. One of our other partners that we work very, very closely with is Cleveland City Council, and in particular Councilman Kerry McCormack, who is here with us. He's in many ways always supportive of the initiatives that we bring forward in downtown Cleveland. He obviously works very, very closely with the mayor and his staff In fact, very recently we had some financial support from the Department of Economic Development that was shepherded through council. But again, Carrie McCormick is always there with us and always prepared to support many of the initiatives, in particular this initiative coming back to downtown Cleveland. So with that, Carrie.
Well, the old saying that they saved the best for the last clearly fell on its face today. But anyways, thank you so much. My name is Kerry McCormick, and I have the privilege of serving downtown Cleveland and the near west side of the city of Cleveland and Cleveland City Council. And really, I want to thank every single person in this room today that made this happen. As you've noticed, from Edgewater Park to Euclid Beach to downtown Cleveland, our region and our partners are making more and more an effort to connect the people of this city and our community to our waterfront. I see Dick Pace here today, who's a critical part of that. And so what better way to do that? To celebrate our beautiful city, our beautiful waterfront, to bring in the historic maritime of the tall ships to Cleveland, Ohio, to bring our kids from Cleveland and folks from beyond down to our waterfront, not only to really engage with the historic maritime history not over the Great Lakes, but of our entire country and world, but to show people how accessible and exciting our waterfront can be for people of all different backgrounds. So this is exactly the type of engagement, exactly the type of exposure and bringing folks down to our waterfront that will continue to do that. So to our mayor and to all of our partners here today, thank you all so much for bringing the tall ships down to the beautiful waterfront of the city of Cleveland, and we look forward to more and more engagement on our waterfront, and we look forward to welcoming the ships in the summer. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. In addition to some of the strategic partners that you've heard already today, I also did want to note that part of our team will be also support from the Cleveland-Cuyahoga County Port Authority, Cumberland Real Estate Development. Dick is here with us today. The Rotary Club of Cleveland, as I mentioned before, the George Gunn Foundation, North Coast Harbor, and many of the stakeholders in North Coast Harbor we will be working very closely with, and the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District. Again, we'll be working with them on programming, obviously, to celebrate our greatest asset, which is the water. I did want to note that Brian Horsberg, who is here with us, where's Brian? Brian with Spindrift Management will be our event manager, and many of you know Brian from his work here in town and many events, including Bright Winter Festival. So we're very pleased that he's going to be working with us and in many ways spearheading the festival on our behalf. And the other thing I did want to note, you probably are wondering, the boarding vessels are going to be housed right behind us on the north bulkhead, north of First Energy Stadium. And the interesting challenge we have this year, unlike the previous years, is that because there's so much economic activity through the port, we are going to be looking at alternative locations for the sailways. We'll be looking at areas surrounding North Coast Harbor and other options for us. So the neat thing is the port is so vibrant, and by the way, that's the dock that they use for, I think, their cruise ship dockage, and I think next year they have 31 cruise ships that are already scheduled there, which is great from our perspective as a community. But again, we're going to use that as a way to leverage some additional sailaway locations as part of the plan going forward. But we look forward to working with all of you. The people on the stage will be available for any interviews or questions afterwards. But again, thank you all for being here. Thanks again to the Science Center for hosting us today, and thank you all for joining us.
Stay tuned for more Around Town.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well...
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back to Around Town.
All right, so I'm going to count you in. You got 45 minutes to do braising, smoking, roasting, and poaching, I heard. Are we ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go cook.
is it's bringing cops with middle school students to cook together in a regional competition, and then the teams who won the regional competition advanced to today to compete in the citywide competition.
It was a program established with the 5 precincts of Cleveland Police. They had individual cooking competitions at Cleveland Municipal School Districts. After those events, they're now here. The winners of those events now compete for the ultimate prize here at the Hospitality Management Center.
This event is special because it's promoting togetherness. It's erasing that line that divides the people, the citizens of the states and the police. It's promoting togetherness, and it's just letting people know that you don't have to be afraid of the police. It's okay to work with them and do things with them. So it's just promoting togetherness and teamship.
The goal of this was twofold. One was to build the relationship between our kids and police officers. They had the opportunity to really engage and connect with the police officers during the cooking competition. So they had to learn to work together, they had to strategize, and it really built a bond between our kids, which made them very comfortable with police officers. And that's one of the big initiatives that we are trying to do, is to build that youth-police relationship. And the second goal was to also expose our kids to opportunities in the culinary arts program.
It's always fun to see kids get excited about something. I remember when I was their age, I lived for things like this. Especially at that age, the middle school age, to be in a kitchen, working with, a police officer, someone much older than you, that's fun. That's a cool way for two people from different generations to bond.
After all the teams had an opportunity to prepare their dishes, it was time for the moment of truth. Team by team, they served up their entrees to be judged by area chefs. Execution, appearance, and taste all came into play as the teams waited to hear the final results.
Okay, so in my hand are the winning scores. I'm going to start with the team that came in 5th place. The team that came in 5th place was team number 3. Who's team number 3? Team number 3? We're bringing them up. Team 3. All right, let's hear it. The team that came in 4th place is team number 1. Way to go, guys. In 3rd place, we have team number 5. Team 5. Where's team 5? So now we're down to team 4 and team 2. I can tell you that there was a half a point separating the two teams. Half a point, that's really close. So in 2nd place was team number 2. Which means that team number 4 came in 1st place. Congratulations. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Team number 4? Was that the team of chefs? Oh my goodness. You see, if you believe what happens, you can achieve. Congratulations to all of you. It was wonderful having you all here. I hope we can do this again, and thank you all very much.
behalf of our CEO, his entire leadership team, and everyone from the school district that's represented here today, I truly want to thank you. Thank you all for your participation, all of the parents and students and family members for coming out. Thank you to all of the VIPs, including our judges who've given of their time and their talent and their treasure, because we know nothing is done for free. And we also want to thank the principals who opened up their doors with their staff to let the police officers in, and then the police officers who bravely and boldly serve to protect and serve us each and every day. But they came into the school buildings and bravely and boldly also demonstrated that service, not just talking the talk, but walking it by working alongside our students. And then our students. I don't know what to say about the students. I had the opportunity to come and see some of the preliminary rounds, and they are amazing. The creativity, the talent, the enthusiasm. So we can't thank them enough for all that they have done and the effort that they've put in. Thank you to Tri-C for allowing us to be here.